Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vainglory8 powered by VIS. I'm your host, Dragonborn. Joining me tonight, it's the nominee, and we are going to be getting you guys into the off-stream match for the Vainglory8 here. It's split number 2, and this is really an exciting matchup. There's actually a lot on the line. We've been pretty lucky, Day. The last 2 off-stream matches we've had here, the one previously here in Europe, a lot of implications, and again here tonight, we've got 2 organizations that are very much neck and neck in the standings, or at least close enough to be within striking distance of each other. It is Team SoloMid versus Rogue, and both these teams, they are vying for that coveted world's position, and we're just about ready to get started into it. A very intense matchup. Really expect this one maybe to go all the way.
Yeah, I absolutely fully expect this one to go to 3 games. Rogue has looked absolutely amazing as of late, as well as TSM has really stepped up their game. We've talked about it before, that when TSM is not winning, they double up their practice. They try so much harder to make sure that they're able to stay at the top. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see them win a championship this year. But obviously, Flash, Chuck, and Von C going to be looking for that world spot so they can get in there one more time and get another shot at it.
Well, you know, they didn't win a regional championship, but they did just come off of a win in the Mobile Masters, and not a small victory to be that. I mean, they went through 7 different teams total. It was absolutely incredible feat, also beating Cloud9, and this is actually a rematch against Rogue, as they did defeat Rogue. Eventually, they did end up beating Rogue there to be able to claim that victory, right? Was it? Oh no, Rogue. Yeah, they beat Rogue. Rogue beat Cloud9, but they got that win over Rogue and be able to secure those 2 wins to win that round robin. We're ready to get into the draft, though, for game number 1, so let's get started. Begins. Again, lots on the line. I'm sure Rogue is just absolutely anxious to get back into this game for a rematch against Team SoloMid, who took away their chances of winning that Mobile Masters round robin. Team SoloMid, of course, clawing their way through every single team. It's very impressive.
Oh, it absolutely was, and it was no easy feat up against Ace Gaming as well. And they ended up pulling out together there at the end of that. And this team is looking really good overall. You know, they've brought back their practice schedule twice fold. Kroll coming off the table, followed by a Lyra very early on in the draft here, Dragon. This isn't something we see too often. That Lyra has not been banned for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, it is a healer. It does have a lot of disengage potential, or sorry, engage on if you have someone like a Kashka jumping in, maybe a Cruel, not as often, but with the Rhyme pickup on Rogue side, they might feel that Lyra against the Rhyme is a little bit problematic, so they ban it out. There is no Cruel, they have the Rhyme, so I think that this is kind of the draft team Rogue kind of wants to have as they start to go into this and look at their draft. They're kind of banning and drafting around that Rhyme with the Baptiste band as well, to make sure that Rhyme's really not locked up with too much crowd control, which I think is interesting. You got that Catherine Day, and Catherine is really good to be able to stop Rhyme with a stun, so Team SoloMid could just probably use one more crowd control hero, maybe a Celeste, and that would really lock that Rhyme up.
Yeah, definitely could be looking to do so. Obviously, the Black Feather coming off the table as well from TSM, not wanting that to go over to Hammy. Black Feather and Rhyme are incredibly deadly together. But it is going to be a Arden locked in for the side of Rogue, and that coveted pedal coming out, likely going to be on Best Chuck. They might even go something that they can run a little bit flexible, possibly pick up a Kestrel of some sort, just to hide what they want to run that pedal as. But I'm going to say it's likely going to be Best Chuck in the lane on a weapon pedal.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Pedal has been absolutely dominant in the meta. Really tough to take down when you get to the late game because of how much damage that comes out of that crystal pedal. And of course, we did see a few weapon pedals early on, but it does seem like crystal pedal. That seems to be the more consistent meta we've seen coming out of it. Arden comes out on Rogue. This is actually a support hero I really think Evolve has mastered. He's absolutely phenomenal on so many different support heroes, but on Arden, with that Echo, the double gauntlet is one of probably the most incredible crowd control items you can really get. And it can allow Rhyme to navigate, in between, catch out the carry, and take out the carry right away, which Rhyme very good at doing.
Yeah, and we see the Jewel come in here, and we've seen a couple teams run it as Crystal Power, but I would say mostly it's run as Weapon Power. So again, they are keeping that degree of flexibility. You haven't committed the pedal to the lane. You haven't committed the Jewel to the lane either. You can wait and see how the draft is going and decide from there where you want to go with these picks.
Yeah, I find this interesting, though, because Jewel, as a melee, if you could get the stun onto Rhyme, you could lock him up for a second, Catherine comes to follow, but if you don't, you're so susceptible to those Winter Spires. They come in, they do a lot of damage, they get behind Jewel, and do damage from the backside even, so it's really hard for Jewel, I think, to play into Rhyme. It's more of a high-skilled hero, or with a lot of skill shots you have to land to take Rhyme out early, and yeah, like you said, Rogue's going to be able to sit there and think about this, how they're going to want to go. Obviously, Rhyme's in the jungle, so their laner, it's going to be very critical. It's going to be that Vox.
Yeah, I think Vox is a pretty safe bet all the time. He's, absolutely amazing hero, been in the meta for ages, just due to how much usefulness he has in his kit. He has a gap closer or a distance creator, as well as obviously a slow from that pulse, a silence, a team-wide silence potential. So there's a lot that a Vox really brings to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how well it plays. Going into probably the Jewel in the lane, you do have a little bit of a short-ranged melee. He's got the Thunderstrike, but other than the Thunderstrike, Jewel really has to play close. And against a Vox, that can be very, very helpful. The only thing that's worth noting, though, is that Jewel's heroic perk in this newest update really allows Jewel to be probably the tankiest hero when facing the damage. And that's worth noting just because, with all the reduction in defense, Jewel's heroic perk really now way exceeds the amount of defense that you'll get almost on any other hero. So it's a big factor, a big deal, and we'll have to see how well Best Chuck and A plays it as we get into game number 1.
Yeah, and heading in here, obviously, Pon the Original going to be playing this Crystal Rhyme in the jungle, picking up the 2 Crystal Bits, as well as Von C, so that will be the jungle Crystal Pedal with Best Chuck on that Jewel. And it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. We know the damage that Jewel used to be able to do with those Thunder Strikes going that critical route. And now with the changes to defense, it's going to be all the more fun for Best Chuck here in this game.
And you see Best Chuck really doesn't have any fear here in the lane, already being able to put a big chunk of damage into Hammy and forcing that Flask already out here within the first minute of the game. This is going to actually cause the mini K to come out, I'd say pretty early here for Hammy, as he's just trying to deal with Best Chuck's Thunderstrike in the jungle. When you see Von C's porting back as an Elder Treant being secured by Pon and Evol is going to go their way. Flash gets a stun, but not able to secure the Elder Treant. So a little bit of a win, a moral victory, if anything, for the side of Rogue so far. Yeah, I mean, again, if Best Chuck at A has the skill to just be absolutely on point with these Thunderstrikes, and of course the jump onto like one of the carries, probably Rhyme, right? You really want to stun up Rhyme. The crowd control is the only thing you can really do to Rhyme to negate his power. And it's going to be really important to not miss that. You have a small margin of victory.
Yeah, absolutely agreeable. I think either the Rhyme or the Vox, whichever one you end up getting on, is really a safe stun. As long as you're locking up one of the carries, it doesn't really matter too much which one it is. And obviously, Vox going to be the squishier one. So if there is an opportunity to jump on Vox, that should almost always be the target. You want to make sure you burn out that Sonic Zoom before you commit to it. Otherwise, he'll just jump right out of the way.
Actually, I need to make a correction. I don't think Hemi used his healing flask. It's actually the Defender contract coming out from Evolve. Kind of threw me off there a little bit. So it looks like, at least from the Spectator client, everyone still has their healing flask up. So that's important, just from the fact that, and actually kind of a cool buy from Evolve to kind of go with that Defender contract, knowing that Hemi's going to struggle against those Thunder Strikes when they land.
Oh, absolutely. Those Thunder Strikes, even here this early on in the game, do a pretty decent chunk of damage. And, as you mentioned it earlier, the changes that we had in this patch make Jewel incredibly tanky at all points of the game. So it's kind of difficult for Vox, even with the resonance bounces, to actually get any effective push back onto Best Chuck.
Yeah, especially here early on. So it's really allowed, I think, Hamby to kind of have a little bit better sustain in the lane. As pairing, of course, Arden able to give the Defender contract plus the Vanguard. It's kind of a win-win there. Hamby actually does recently use that flask. I guess he was running into a little bit of trouble in the lane, so had to probably use it there. And of course, Pon the Original had pushed in with Evil into the jungle, leaving him pretty much on his own for a good chunk of the time in the lane. They're going to try to secure another Electriant. They do secure. Chuck could get, Von C and Flash couldn't quite get in there in time take that away, so they're gonna get just chalk up going back to their backs, and that's of course two Elder Treants for Rogue, and you can start to see that a little bit of a gold lead popping up here, and Hammy and Pond actually gonna rotate back together. They're gonna clear those back juggles and the back Treant there together. Another way for them to try to just keep building up that gold lead and help them get ahead of Team SoloMid when they get to the mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, looking here at the rotations, Rogue has been very on point with sharing their ambient as frequent as possible. And now Von C, is probably going to be working towards that Shatterglass first item as Frostburn no longer slows on the minions. So that is a huge change to make note here on this Crystal Petal, as now all of Rogue is rotating up to match TSM here. A slight level advantage if we look at the carries. Hammy level 5 upon the Original level 6 to the 4 and 5 of TSM on Best Chuck and Von C.
Right, and a lot of that in part due to the fact Evil was up in the lane pretty early on to try to help just keep Hammy a little bit more sustained into that Jewel, as well as the rotation together in the backs. You see that right now, Hammy and Pon able to secure those backs together and then really not lose out on too much lane farm as well for Hammy. So this has really helped Rogue, I think, gain a small edge over Team SoloMid as we get closer and closer to 6 minutes, which is when a lot of these power spikes hit with the ultimates coming online.
Yeah, that's definitely a key point for most of these heroes. Obviously, the spontaneous combustion coming out of Petal can do some additional team healing, which will be nice. Big red button on the weapon Jewel, not the most impactful thing, but definitely can still help snipe out some of those ranged targets when they're low. And so far, just a couple trades here back and forth. I think the biggest one to make note of is obviously that Blast Tremor and the Gauntlet coming out of these captains are going to be the most game-changing ultimates, with the exception of maybe if Pon the Original gets a triple stun or if Hammy gets a triple silence with that wait for it. So we'll just have to see.
We will. Hammy and Pon, of course, rotate those backs again. Hammy gets it here just in time to make sure that Team SoloMid can't push up on the turret. It's going to be actually both teams rotating to the jungle shops here real quick. We'll see if they kind of meet up, as neither of them look like they're quite ready for an engagement just yet. But important to note that you see Pon the Original already has a Shatterglass on Rhyme. This is a pretty substantial power spike for him. It really doesn't take a lot for him to come online. Once he's get this Shatterglass, he packs a huge punch.
Yeah, that Shatterglass is absolutely huge. It gives you a lot of additional fortified health as well due to the amount of damage that you're doing, as well as that ticking damage if Rhyme does land a basic attack on you and start to stack up in a fight as it goes on. So definitely make note and look for that as the fight goes on. You'll see low health targets diminishing even lower. And Pon is one of those Rhymes that likes to go with the tier 3 boots very early on so he can keep that constant pressure up. Usually it's the journey boots, so that once he's damaged a target after he's used that proc, it is back up again in 12 seconds as opposed to 60. So definitely a useful tool for a Rhyme if we want to get to that back line and try to lock down Von C.
Yeah, that's for sure. You really do want to try to take the pedal out quickly, and I think that a lot of this is going to come later in the game for Rogue. The gauntlets are going to be a big factor for that, and as well as the Valkyrie. But, again, Rogue doesn't really need to rush the game. I think that their power spikes are strong enough late game that they're not as worried about Pedal. Of course, obviously, Pedal and Jewel will get stronger as the game progresses, but I think really so will Vox and Rhyme. So it's a really even progression for both teams as we get into this game. Just the big difference maker is really going to be how Evil can isolate the enemy team, how they can isolate Team SoloMid, I think, with those gauntlets if he goes direction with the Echo.
Yeah, I think he will. Evil on most heroes actually runs Echo. I mean, even on the Lance for that double Githian wall is something he's really known for, as well as Evil specifically is incredibly good at understanding just how healthy he is, just how much damage the enemies can do, and he's very good at juggling minion waves away from the turret and remaining alive in doing so, which saves them a lot of objective control as the games go on. And Evil, really one of the top captains in North America, in my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. He's really been able to put his talents on display, as we do see a little bit of a catch out by Flash, but they're not going to follow up through it. Von C able to kind of scare away Pawn and Evil. Best Truck in the lane, of course, is trading damage with Hammy. Not a lot happening there. It's pretty quiet game at 8 minutes, and we saw this in Europe as well. Teams are being much more cautious about giving up early kills, not being as aggressive with counter farming, just because there's not as much of a payout for it, especially if you give up an early kill for that first blood here. Gonna see actually it's Flash. He might get caught in between. Here comes the gauntlet, double stun. Von C locked up and rooted, and there's the final Spire to finish him off. Pedal is down. Von C goes giving the first blood over to Pawn the original. Not who you wanted to give that first blood over. And of course, this is going to open up the jungle. Looks like a gold mine at the 9-minute mark. It's going to be what they're going to secure. And this is a very full gold mine. Going to be a massive payout.
Yeah, nice 400 chunk for everybody on the team. Never hurts. And, again, the Jewel tried to get the steal. Best Chuck not quite able to get that big red button down
so
in
close,
time.
Though. That was very close. That was a great attempt.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Pawn gets stunned up, takes a little bit of damage. Going to try to come in here, though. Really just keeping their turret safe. It's below half health, so you can see Best Chuck at A. Every chance he can get to whittle it down a little bit further, he's going to take. This, meanwhile, Von C. And you look at this farm, Von C is pretty far behind Pawn as far as jungle CS. 65 to 54. That's notable in a lot of different ways. One, you're going to see Pawn pick up his second tier 3 item here very soon. Of course, why did I say that? Von C steals away. I think the first first tree, and he stole it away from Rogue all game. But that's going to be important. Oh, in the lane, Best Truck almost drops. He's going to have to be careful here. But here comes Von C looking to try to catch Hammy out. A little bit of damage here. That defender contract had been sold, so Evil relying purely on Vanguard and his items to try to keep his members alive. But Rogue's going to be able to now push this lane up. It's a Team SoloMid's turret. That's going to just cause them to rotate down. I think right now Rogue, Denominate, is playing very cautiously as far as objective play because it seems like they're waiting a little bit longer for their power spikes.
The Vox does take a decent amount of time to come online, but so does the Jewel, with the exception of how tanky she is now in that early and mid game. So those are things to make note of. The turret is now dropped, and
Wow.
Rogue's not done.
Rogue is not, and look at that, a kill to go. Flash X, he's low. He's got to be careful. They're going to find actually Von C on the other side. Von C actually having to try to disengage here. There looks like they're going to say, Von C's play did save Flash X's life, but he's compromised here. He's caught between the enemy jungle and the full team of Rogue. And now he's just trying to find a way to get away here. Rogue's going to be okay not going for the kill as they're looking to rotate down. They're going to shop up and pick up the items. And that's it. Eve of Harvest coming out. Pawn the original hitting a massive power spike where you're really seeing Von C still, he's pretty close to building his second tier 3, but he's still a little ways off. And the biggest thing is just the fact that you've got Best Truck at A, only sitting on 2 offensive items here as we get 12 minutes, which isn't too bad, but he needs that second Tyrant's Monocle to really lay into a Rhyme. Rhyme's just so tanky otherwise.
Yeah, a lot of changes to a lot of these heroes, making the damage that comes out, the sustainability that comes out, substantially different for some of them. We talked about the Jewel a little bit, the Rhyme as well. Rhyme was always a low defense hero. That his real sustainability was that he built up the fortified health in the fights. Now with even more health, the fights being naturally longer, Rhyme has a much more substantial impact on the fights. Looking over at the Arden as well. So Arden does give a barrier based on his total health. Correct me if I am wrong, Dragon. But, with the buffs to the health as well as just a actual buff in the skill itself, right. Those barriers can be incredible as the game goes on.
No, right. It's exactly based on his max health. And, of course, the items, everything has gone up in health, which means that Arden can build an insane amount of barrier on his allies to help protect them here. Now, we do have potentially, Team SoloMid could be looking to go into this turret, but the Echo is built. So Evil actually probably looking for a chance to be able to lock up Team SoloMid. And you see Team SoloMid respecting what Arden can do right now. Backing away, not going to be able to go in and over-aggressive try to push in that turret. And actually, as the game progresses, this is going to be a problem for Team SoloMid to nominate. They're really going to have a hard time pushing in onto objectives, knowing that Rogue can just lock them down with those gauntlets.
Yeah, absolutely could, especially with the fact that, Evol, again, we've seen it before, that kind of Venn diagram situation sometimes can be one of the best ways to use it. If you can lock somebody down after they've already burned their reflex block, if you can keep them in such an isolated area, it makes it a lot easier for Rhyme to get those Winter Spires, to follow up with a Root, follow up with a Valkyrie, anything he needs, because that enemy is trapped, as well as Vox will be able to freely float around and build up the stacks of Breaking Point, which he does have. He has the Sorrow Blade, the Poison Gem, and the Breaking Point. Kind of an older build that we've seen have some pretty good effect here on Vox. And we'll have to see if they're able to pull it all the way through to the end. As, again, Best Chuck now with the Sorrow Blade double monocle, likely working into the Tornado trigger for his last item, is going to hit like an absolute truck.
Yeah, we really need to talk about just how critical this game is to nominate. Because although it doesn't single-handedly define who goes, Team SoloMid and Rogue are 2 points away at 16 and 14 points respectively. If Team SoloMid were to beat Rogue here tonight, that would allow them to pass up Rogue. Otherwise, with Rogue's win, it gives Rogue the tiebreaker over Team SoloMid. And it also means that Rogue is going to continue to build that lead over Team SoloMid. And whoever gets second place in North America, they do go to Worlds.
Whoever gets first unseeded place. But we got a fight breaking out. There's the double gauntlet.
Wow, what a blow up here. Rogue doing a fantastic job to follow through and get the kill onto Best Chuck. And of course, Von C, he's still pretty full health, but Flash X is not. Flash X almost dropping, and that's just too much pressure. Von C better watch out. He's going to get collapsed upon, and he goes down, and Flash G, he just cannot stick around. He knows there's nothing he could do. He's going to give that up. Rogue finds 2 kills, and this looks like a Kraken going over, playing this game very well. And this might be Team SoloMid thinking about letting Upon the Original play this Rhyme again for the rest of the series.
Yeah, definitely something that has to be considered. This Kraken is going down incredibly quickly thanks to the huge bursts of damage that Rhyme has. Similar to Celeste, very good at taking those objectives because they don't move out of the way of the Winter Spires, which allows the Rhyme to just, whale in massive amounts of damage. And now it is TSM on the back foot, and that's not a place we're really used to seeing them at. The Frostburn was built by Von C, maybe not having caught up on the petal changes and the crystal item changes for this patch. The Frostburn does no longer slow on petals minions, so that is something that we have to pay attention to here because it's kind of wasted damage in my opinion, Dragonborn.
It definitely could be. We see a lot of trading here, trying right below the Kraken as Rogue looks to secure this turret and keep pushing. There comes out the first gauntlet. Valkyrie comes down but misses Von C as he's able to jump away from that. There's still one more gauntlet in the bag. Oh no, actually he used his Echo for the Vanguard. We've been seeing that a lot with Ardent, saving the Echo potentially just to keep his allies alive. But this is going to allow them to get that turret and now move down here. They're going to actually forgo the Crystal Sentry denominator, and I feel like I'm kind of surprised. They definitely could have taken it as Team SoloMid had to completely recall to their base.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to get down to shop, get some more vision. Evol really wants to get that vision control up against TSM at this point, as well as hit the shop for the carries as well. Hammy and Pon the original both sitting on a decent chunk of gold. Eve of Harvest is complete for Pon. He's likely going to finish that Aegis for his next item, maybe even the Metal Jacket instead, just depending on who he feels is the bigger threat. But Hammy, with that Metal Jacket complete, going to be able to sustain a bit more against Best Chuck's Thunder Strikes here. Now with that Tornado Trigger complete, he is at his maximum offensive potential shy of an infusion. And this game still could go either way. If TSM finds a single kill, this Jewel can push straight through turrets. No problem whatsoever, while Petal and Catherine work on the Kraken as it respawns. So we'll have to see as it goes on. Obviously, Rogue, though, absolutely looking amazing right now.
I would like to know, it's actually really important that Best Chuck gets an infusion, because infusion did not get nerfed for their defense, and that's a sizable amount of defense now that can really help when you only have a reflex block to boot. So Best Chuck today would definitely, he's probably going to look to try to wait to engage until he can get that infusion, because Vonsi does have his infusion, Dragon Eye and Frostburn being built first, and it looks like he's going into that Broken Myth third, which we see pretty popular item. Instead, Pon the original, even with the Goldie that he has really been putting a lot of that money into the defense. You can see it right there, as there's just not a lot of need to be extra, to go glass cannon on the side of Rogue here. Even Hammy has a lot of defense here, going with Journey Boots as well.
Yeah, again, those Journey Boots are so good at keeping a team in a fight. And Vox, someone who wants to stick, at an arm's reach, away from the enemies to get his maximum potential down. Obviously, bouncing those resonance strikes around as well will be helpful for their damage. It's not a lot, but as a fight goes on, it can really start to add up.
We're going to see a gauntlet coming in. They're going to get the engage going in. There's a double gauntlet, but it gets blocked out. Great job by Flash X to get that stun. It's such a hard stun to do onto a gauntlet, and he's able to get this. And now Hammy looking to try to find a kill on the Best Truck at A. He gets stunned up, though. Best Truck's still alive, but Valkyrie comes in, blocked by Flash X again. There's the silence, and it lands. And now it's Rogue. They've taken a lot of that big red button damage, and they have to disengage. Vonsi trying to clean this up. But they're finding Best Chuck at A, who just barely escapes death clutches there, as he was almost found by Rogue. It's going to be Hammy finding actually Flash X here. Vonsi, he's going to find all three members of Rogue and get deleted. So that was such a close fight. Honestly, the best fight we've seen from Team SoloMid yet, but it still is not enough to stop Pon the original on this rhyme.
Yeah, it hasn't been enough, and I do want to make note of what Pon the original has gone on the rhyme as far as his abilities. He's maxed out the A and the B. That's going to give them the ability to get that B root up more frequently. It's a much bigger game changer than trying to land that ultimate. And at this point in the game, the time between the fights, his ultimate's going to be up anyway. He doesn't need that additional cooldown. He is not the main source of damage. So just locking a target down as frequent as possible is really what Pon's win condition is here. And just allow Hammy to ramp up those Broken Myth stacks and really start to scale away. Best Chuck not able to come in. That's a second Kraken now for Rogue here. And 3 turrets stand between them and a victory, unless if they're able to find both of the carries here. I don't think they close out the game, but I do think they put themselves in a even more comfortable position.
Well, what's going to be important to note here is that you are going to see Best Chuck and Vonsi with infusions here in the next fight, as well as Vonsi finally having that Broken Myth completed. So this is Team SoloMid's maximum amount of damage they're going to be able to output so far into the game. And we'll just see how Rogue kind of balances it. So far, Rogue's really not here at the turret. Actually, maybe a misplay, allowing this Kraken to fall almost deleted here. Silence comes out, lands, not blocked out, and they're going to actually get the Kraken before giving up a single turret. Not what Rogue was hoping to do, Denominate, is, unfortunately, I don't think rotating up soon enough to kind of follow up that Kraken damage.
No, definitely didn't come up soon enough, and they essentially did nothing but just give TSM free gold. And I don't know about you, but if I'm ahead of TSM, I don't want to give them that gold to come back.
Oh, that's it.
They're definitely a team that when you make a mistake like that, they will run away with it. You just gave enough gold for the entire side of Team SoloMid to reinfuse. That's a pretty decent chunk of gold. I mean, 1,500 across the team, bringing that net lead down to about 3.5 almost 4,000. Here we go. Gauntlet's down. Good stun.
Another gauntlet comes out, stuns up Von C twice in a row, but now it's Best Truck and he's caught between a rock and a hard place. He's in there, goes down. He's not able to survive. Pawn the Original does drop low, but he's still alive, and it's just Hammy and Evol with Pawn here staying in the lane, trying to see if they can get this turret finally. The Kraken didn't finish. Flash X with the stun here. Von C just kind of stuttering around the turret to see if he can stay alive. Silence lands. All three members of Rogue are going to have to back away. Good job by Von C and Flash. You know, they lose the turret, but they were able to stay alive and keep Rogue actually fairly low on their health. So they're not going to be able to, you know, keep staying there, or maybe even push into the Sanctuary. They actually have to back out here, and it's going to be a recall from Pawn the Original.
Yeah, and that was such an incredibly close fight for both teams. The unfortunate thing was Chuck did go in, and he did commit to the fight onto Pawn the Original, but because of the distance that trampoline on Von C created, he was then too far out of the fight to actually gain anything within as far as damage goes. You know, the Munions were not on the same target as Best Chuck. It did take Von C time to re-engage, get that targeting back down. So overall, I feel like TSM has the damage to pull out a fight here. They definitely have the sustainability to pull out a fight here, but it's going to be based on Von C's use of trampoline. If he uses it too far away from the fight, then it's going to be constantly Best Chuck just getting focused down on that front line while losing out on, you know, half of your damage source for the team as well. Another gauntlet is out. Here we go.
Oh, stuns the second gauntlet. Flash X, he's getting really good at this. As they look to have to back away, but it's still Rogue with the lead and the upper hand here as they look to try. Actually, they're going to back away from that fight, but they do get a good engage here. Flash X did drop fairly low, and Rogue really almost full health across the board. It's been a tough game so far here for Best Truck and Von C. And if you look at Von C, he's so squishy. He has almost barely any health compared to the rest of his team. So he's got to be extra careful not to get caught out in these fights. And he's been on a good job staying back. It's actually been Best Chuck who just gets locked up in those gauntlets, unable to get away.
Yeah, and Pawn the Original has picked up a Crucible for his team as well. Gonna try to help block out on that silence if he's able to do so. I have to see how exactly his, lightning fast reflexes are watching that Catherine ult wind up. Obviously be on Evol probably to block the first one, and then with Pawn the Original knowing the second one's coming, it should make it a little bit easier. He'll be watching out for it. And if they're able to block both silences, then Flash has really lost out on almost everything he can contribute to a team fight.
Exactly, and that's something that we haven't really seen Flash. We've seen Flash use his Merciless Pursuit really to contribute more than anything else, as the Silence hasn't been as big of an impact so far in this matchup. So we will have to just keep watching Flash. He's going to be the guy to kind of help bring Team SoloMid back into this game. With no turrets taken so far, and a few thousand gold behind, Team SoloMid does have to be extra careful. They're looking to maybe find a mistake here. Hammy is a little bit out, but there comes another gauntlet. There's no echo. Oh, no, there is an echo. Here comes the double gauntlet. Valkyrie lands as well. Von C stunned up. Who's going to be the one coming on top? Von C tries to move around. There's the Atlas onto Hammy. Gets him down, but Pawn the Original still alive. Von C unfortunately not able to get in far enough to take out Pawn, as he's very low, but still high. And now it's Hammy who's looking to kind of finish this up here. Finds Von C. Almost finds Flash, but he's going to back off here. This is going to be another Kraken for Rogue, or they're just going to push it and take out these turrets.
I definitely think they have the damage with these huge death timers. There's no way that Flash should realistically be able to stop this push coming out of Rogue. I believe that is going to be... Pawn taking the turret aggro for too long.
He might be in trouble. He has to use a reflex block to stay in it. And there's the Vanguard, but they're going to get the turret. And now they're turning their attention onto the Crystal. And this is going to be game. Rogue takes down Team SoloMid in a very sweet revenge story here after losing to them in Mobile Masters.
Yeah, great plays coming out of both teams. This time it did end up with Rogue on top. I'm not sure I was in love with the Crystal Petal against the Rhyme, especially going the Frostburn first. Again, if you want to, perform at the best, we need to understand the changes that are implemented in the patch. Frostburn does no longer slow with Petal's Munions, so it's better to just go with that raw offensive damage and just try to get the damage down.
Yeah, that's actually a little bit surprising that we've actually seen a few teams pull out the pedal, but this is the first time we saw that Frostburn come out, and so Vonsi, yeah, he could still get the slow. I mean, there's still other ways to proc that slow with his abilities, but you're absolutely right. A little bit problematic there in that case. All right, we're going to be right back, everybody. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back after the break, we're going to get you guys into game number 2 as Rogue takes 1-up over Team SoloMid.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are here getting ready for game number 2 as Team SoloMid, they drop a game to Rogue, and now they have to come back here if they want to push this to game 3 and win the series. Let's jump right into the draft to nominate.
The draft begins.
As I am excited to see how Team SoloMid responds.
Yeah, definitely going to be fun to see what they end up pulling out here. Obviously, TSM, widely known, historically at least, for pulling out things maybe a little less expected by many. So it is going to be the Kroll taken off the table by Rogue here as we look to see what TSM's ban is going to be. We've seen some Reza today. We saw some 100% Reza ban there in Europe when we were doing that, as well as I believe over on the mainstream T-Tigers did pull out some Reza with victory as well. So
well, they're definitely talking about whether they're going to ban Rhyme or not. Like that's probably their discussion because Rogue is absolutely first picking Rhyme.
I would definitely assume so.
And this is the thing that we see. I mean, I love Team SoloMid for this. They will try to figure out, all right, how do we counter it? Instead of just trying to ban it away, they do try to find counters. Because if you find a counter, you'd actually take the advantage. The problem is there's just not a lot of counters. With Cruel off, with Catherine being one of the few supports you can go that really are going to be strong into it, you're leaving yourself open. I actually would say this, though. Team SoloMid, by picking Petal, basically forced it out where it couldn't be Best Truck A on Crystal Celeste, and that was unfortunate. I really would have loved to see Best Truck A play Celeste. I actually think he would have played way better Celeste than Jewel, and the stun would have been much more reliable going into that Rhyme. So that's something I think Team SoloMid can tweak if they want to risk giving over that Rhyme again.
Yeah, definitely could. We know Chuck is a absolutely fantastic Celeste. Does look like we may have had an issue with the draft, though, so we'll get you guys back in here as soon as possible.
The draft begins.
Yeah, so we have to do a quick restart. And there we go. Let's see, hopefully this time.
Chuck wasn't ready. I do agree with you, though, Dragon. I think the Celeste would be a much safer pick into the Rhyme. Rhyme falls into a similar category to Baptiste to me, is if you can outrange the Rhyme and keep your distance, that's kind of your safest bet. Now, again, we've talked about it. The boots that Pawn picks up usually allow him to get to that back line not only once, but multiple times. So that is something that you still have to keep in mind if you are going to play that backline hero.
Now, Petal, again, this is really perplexing here, Denominate, because, you know, you're talking about how Rhyme is going to be successful. And if it is a Crystal Petal again, you're really taking away a lot of those counters I think that would do better. And you don't have a Catherine this time, and you're going to need crowd control. What is the strategy? What is Team SoloMid trying to execute here to beat out this Rhyme?
It's going to be tough. I do think the Petal is better in the weapon route, specifically into Rhyme, because you can get that high burst amount of damage while kiting backwards. And again, it's a rough spot for Petal because a lot of the item changes do affect her crystal path. A Churnwalker comes out, though, and Dragon, I could not be more excited right now.
Well, we did just see Churnwalker on the Cloud9 matchup. We did see Gabe Vizzle play it. I don't actually know the results. If I think Cloud9 played Churnwalker, and I believe they might have won. Gonna have to get an update on that from the guys and the viewers. But Churnwalker is very exciting, and maybe this is their their method here. Is it does allow your carries to play further back if Churnwalker's in the middle of that fight, but it does mean that you've got to build tanky really fast on Churnwalker because he's going to be in there with those hooks, helping transmit damage, but if he's dead, he's obviously not. So very important how you manage damage, how you balance it. I'd have to say, Denominate, Churnwalker, very high skill cap hero as far as supports are concerned.
Yeah, definitely is a high skill cap hero, but is very rewarding if it's played correctly. It is a Lyra Kestrel that come out of Rogue, and with this Rhyme, that is a absolutely scary combination. So it is going to come down to what are we going to see out of this Petal. I think with the Churnwalker, I would like to see the Crystal Petal. Obviously, I don't want to see a Frostburn. Vansi, if you're listening, please no Frostburn. But if we can link up the targets, then Vansi doesn't actually have to commit very far. He can just get very small amounts of chip damage down by targeting that front line. It'll probably be Rhyme or Lyra, just depending on if that Arcane Passage is used, so on and so forth. But, they'll be the two primarily on the front line, and then through the actual chains, when multiple targets are linked, Petal can ramp up damage on one target with the Dragon's Eye and spread that damage to all linked targets.
Ooh, so Exceptions just told me Churnwalker's win rate is 0%. That would mean Cloud9 dropped to Tribe Gaming, which is a pretty massive upset to see that happen. And that was with them playing Churnwalker. So yeah, not a lot of success just yet. Will be crazy if Cloud9 or Team SoloMid are not in tomorrow's finals for North America. That would be an unbelievable outcome.
Yeah, it would be pretty crazy, but the competition has gotten so close with several of these teams. Obviously, we see Tribe pretty consistently doing pretty well as Rogue is a team that is incredibly, incredibly talented as well. So we'll have to see going forward who it is that's going to make it through. We obviously already know Tribe has made it through. Will Rogue follow them in taking down the second set of Titans that North America has?
Interesting strategy. Flash X actually putting some chains in. He might pay for it with his life, though. Maybe going a little bit too far, having to back out. But what he does do is buy Best Chuck at an insane amount of time, taking away the backs from Rogue, and they didn't even see it.
Yeah, that was a actually really good rotation there from the side of Team SoloMid. It wasn't all of the backs, but Chuck did rotate over, took a Treant away. That is going to be some additional gold, some additional experience. And now this is Pon the Original and Hammy are in the backs. And those are going to be a couple minions now dropping in the lane that Evil is going to have to clean up since Hammy is not here to do so. So overall, I think Rogue do pick out better here. Because Best Chuck did fully recall as well. He did waste a lot of his own time.
Right.
But it's going to depend on how the game goes from here on out. Again, Churnwalker's early game is incredibly strong. So we'll have to see if Flash is able to pull it together here. We do have a link. Will we be able to find any damage? We won't.
No, just a little bit, but not much as far as just like getting some damage from Best Chuck as it is. We'll see here. The pullback, it's surprisingly strong as far as how far it can pull a hero back into a fight. And that in itself is going to be a very powerful crowd control for this game. But this is going to be important to watch. I'm excited to see. Flash X, one of the best supports in the game. If he can mechanically get a win here on Turnwalker, it'd be very impressive. If Gabe Vizzle couldn't do it, that tells you a lot about how difficult this hero is.
It's definitely a high skill cap hero, but it's again, the competition is so close. It's really anybody's game to win. Yes, Cloud9 fell, but they're still very comfortably at the top. So we'll have to see what they're able to do. They've already got their world spot secured, Dragon. So they're not trying to give away too much at this point. In fact, I almost would be willing to say that they're not going to be playing at their absolute full on camera, because that allows them then to hide any of their real strategies going into the World's Tournament, where we'll be playing teams from Southeast Asia, teams from South America, teams from Europe. They really don't have anything to lose here.
This is true. Of course, both teams here have a lot to lose if they don't make it to Worlds. And of course, like you said, you're right. They've got to get first place. But if Cloud9 secures first place, second place would be enough for them to get to see, I believe, right? That's how it works.
I do believe that's how it works. Now, that's not to say that it is going to be Cloud9 taking first. Obviously, we've watched them just get taken down by Tribe. This is still anybody's game for that first place spot. There are 4 weeks in split number 2 that we have ahead of us. So there's a lot of time for any of these teams to build up points. And Pon the Original having the boots out here. Vansi's on the chase, though.
Oh, but gets rooted up and takes both damage explosions from the Winter Spire. And that, you can see how quickly Vansi has to retreat after that. Going to be able to pull in this Treant here and secure that. So good job by Rogue trying to get back into this gold game. But Team SoloMid still has the gold lead. In part due to just being down early. Dude, I think interesting rotation by Rogue. By Team SoloMid. It almost worked, but unfortunately they're still down to Rogue because they weren't able to secure quite enough farm early on. And Rogue just does a good job at balancing their waves and rotations.
Yeah, and not to mention that Pon is probably one of the better Rhyme players. Before Rhyme was OP. I mean, Rhyme's really, really strong right now due to the changes. But this is a hero that he's been comfortable on for quite some time, when many considered him fairly unviable. And now Pon has found a Vansi.
He really has. Oh my goodness. Almost getting the kill here. Almost jumping in. Vansi so low. But now FlashX able to keep his teammate alive, just barely. There's no fountains built just yet. Actually, Evol going with a Crucible first.
Yeah, that Crucible first on Lyra is definitely helpful because it does, it does raise the healing of your Imperial Sigil due to the health changes, both items and Lyra's base health. She's a little bit more sustainable on the front line, as well as with that Crucible now having even more health to it. It does allow those heals to be even bigger. It's not a massive amount of health increase on that Crucible, but hey, 150 is still 150.
Yeah, absolutely. As they look to move in here to the lane and try to get this lane pushed up again. Best Chuck at A continues to take glimmer shots. So he's actually at 3/4 health. And Flash X, just an unbelievable job harassing. If anything, has done a good job at just kind of getting in the face of Rogue, although it hasn't resulted in anything substantial just yet. They're going to try to find Kestrel here. Hammy backs away, does a good job at retreating. There comes the Valkyrie as Pon the Original hit level 6, goes in, but he's taking too much damage. It actually looks like Pon the Original. Oh, nice job by Flash, gets the stun, and that is going to be a lockup as Pon the Original is taken out. That's first blood going over to Vansi, exactly who you wanted to give that first blood over.
Yeah, Best Chuck does have the poison shift complete. It is a Frostburn again from Vansi, so we'll have to see how that works out for him this time around. Obviously, it will still provide the slow on the seed explosions if they do walk into it, but it is not the most optimal situation to be in for a Petal, at least. You're not able to get the chase the same way that you used to. So we'll have to see, how he ends up playing this one out. Flash in that last fight had a beautiful trespass. You mentioned it with the stun, not only going on to Pon the Original, but he also positioned himself in a point that it allowed him to zone out Hammy. Hammy was very low, and if Hammy committed back up, hold on, Pon is getting stunned up again.
Wow, Flash X is showing you how to play Churnwalker right now. Unbelievable. He's been able to execute his ultimate twice in a row, get those stuns, and that's really been just shutting Pond the Original down.
Yeah, he's been doing an absolute great job doing so. The trespass coming out of Flash has been absolutely on point every single time it's been needed. And now Evol maybe looking to come down and steal away this gold mine. One shot, one kill, just going to nick Flash, not going to get really anything out of it. That is now TSM for the first time getting a gold lead here over Rogue. Flash doing such a good job on this Churnwalker with the actual hook and chain. He's been incredibly accurate with it. The timings on the trespass has been pretty beautiful, well, if I might say so myself.
Oh, it really has. He's been nailing it 2 times in a row, and both resulting in a kill on Pond the Original, who we saw was just almost unkillable last game. So really, really impressed.
Absolutely, and now as we get back into the lane, the turret for the side of Team SoloMid is in a pretty hurt condition, whereas Rogue's is still nearly full health. The hook and chain coming out of Flash there. If you do land it on a target, it does immediately reset the cooldown, allowing you to link up additional targets in quick succession. The Bright Bulwark is now down to prevent any further aggression from Team SoloMid. Those Glimmer Shots not quite packing the punch that they will in the late game quite yet, with just a Tornado Trigger and a Sorrow Blade built. But, TSM, Vancey's coming back up. They're looking for something, and Rogue is pushed really far forward here.
They are pushed really far forward, but Team SoloMid is looking for the fight. Valkyrie lands, gets a stun, but they're able to get out of it and block out. And actually now it's going to be, oh my goodness, 2-man stun with the trespass from Churnwalker. They might have found Hammy. The damage is actually passing through, but there's a nice heal from the Sigil. And now they're turning their attention back on. It's actually Best, Chuckadee, and Flash, who are very close, but they find the kill onto Hamby. Pond the Original is way too low to go back into this fight. Oh, he gets found by Von C, and there's going to be another kill. It's just Evol left, and he's got nowhere to go as they dive underneath this turret looking for this final kill. Von C is going to be able to jump over and find it here as, oh, wow, actually, maybe not. As Evol actually sneaks around the turret and is, oh my goodness, and saves the kill. Does not get the 3 kill. What an incredible portal by Evol.
Absolutely beautiful. I thought that hook and chain was going to cancel it out, but it just didn't reach in time. Evol, you are a legend. That was such a beautiful play, not giving up an additional kill to TSM. And this is kind of a little bit opposite of what we saw last game, Dragon. Last game, it was Rogue that pulled a clean victory over TSM with a 9-0 by the end. Right now, it's TSM up 4-0 right now, really using Churnwalker's early game to the advantage that they can. And Flash, obviously knowing that Hammy is going to be one of the biggest damage threats to him, has gone ahead and picked up a Metal Jacket. He's going to be able to soak up those Glimmer Shots for his team while getting the enemies chained down as well so they can pass that damage on. It does lower some of your bursts, but it does put it through onto multiple targets. So it almost makes your whole team, even though they're focusing one target, they essentially have a midgetated AoE potential.
Yeah, absolutely. It basically allows you to just kind of get in and just do so much damage so quickly. But Von C gets blown up here as Rogue looks to go in. There is the Valkyrie, a little bit more sustained here to try to keep Hammy alive as the fountain was used. And that's going to be 2 kills going over for Rogue. Flash X has to scurry away as fast as he can, as he is unable to deal really any damage at this point. He's tanky enough, but he's not going to be able to survive if he gets ganged up here. He goes in, tries to just stop this turret take, but he's not going to be able to find it. And now he's actually exposed here. He's going to try to run away and doesn't want to, of course, give it up. All the while, Pond the Original is going to be taking out this gold miner here. So a turret and a gold mine for Rogue is going to net them a massive amount of gold and actually bring them back in line with Team SoloMid, who otherwise had the lead.
Yeah, Von C unfortunately did drop very early on in that fight, and that's kind of the power of the Rhyme if you're able to help lock down a target, especially if that trampoline is already used. It's almost like having that pedal rooted for just that much longer, as he doesn't have that additional mobility to get out of the fight. And overall, like you mentioned, that gold mine and the turret take did bring it almost directly even on the gold. I mean, there's a very very minuscule advantage on the side of TSM right now. Von C, obviously going that Frostburn first, now has the Broken Myth for his second item. Best Chuck with the Sorrow Blade and the Poison Shiv is going to start to have some sustainable damage and sustainable healing in these fights. But as Pon the Original gets tankier, as Hammy gets into that fourth offensive item, it is going to be a little bit more difficult for TSM to make these engages the way that they have been. And that is going to be a Crystal Sentry now for TSM.
Absolutely. Another nice take as Team SoloMid looking to try to get back into this game. But they might have given up a turret here, and they might have not been a good idea here. Look at this. Rogue just absolutely decimates this. Lyra jumps over. They're trying to reposition the fight. They blow up Von C. No, he gets away, but the Valkyrie catches him out. Team SoloMid just trying to survive this fight here. Von C drops, and now they're turning their attention onto Flash X. Hammy's very low. He's got to be careful here, but Flash X gets killed as you see Hammy find it finally. Now Rogue, they're just all diving all the way. Oh my goodness, Pon the Original goes all the way to the backside of it into the Sanctuary and trying to find the kill onto Best Chuck at A. He's not going to find it. Now he's actually at risk of going down.
Yeah, he absolutely is. He's trapped in a bad spot. Now it is Rogue. Way low. No, Best Chuck steps into an active camo. He does find Hammy, but he gives up his life for it. And at this point in the game, a trade is going to be in favor of Rogue. They are now up about 1.5k gold, so still not a huge advantage, but it's unfortunately not going to be the most optimal situation for Team SoloMid to be able to use Churnwalker's chains to their maximum effect until Best Chuck has the Broken Myth or Breaking Point complete. He does now, as well as an infusion. So now he'll actually be ramping up on whatever target he's on, which over time will add up additional damage onto the enemies as well. So that, to me, is a win all in its own.
Yeah, absolutely. Rogue is going to try to take this gold miner here as they've started to actually build a gold lead. But here comes Team SoloMid. They're rotating down. They find it. Will they be able to secure this away? The gold miner's so low. The fight's going to engage. Just a Lyra portal jumps on, but it's actually Von C who gets it. Is he going to pay for it with his life? He just barely escapes. One more shot from Hammy. That's going to do the trick, though, as they get the kill. Now it's 3v2. Flash X, he's caught in an awkward position. Best Truck's trying to stay in the back line and channel some of that damage using the chains, but it's not going to work. Flash X now is going to be the final target as Flash X falls, and that's an ace. And Rogue have just turned this back around as after Team SoloMid looked to try to take the initiative in the early part of the game. And it looks like Rogue can't make up their mind what they want to do here. But they are going to go into the jungle of Team SoloMid. Oh, they're just waiting for the Kraken at this point. So they're not even going to go for it. They do get the ace, but it is going to be a Kraken to start as they're going to push behind that.
Yeah, and now with the entire side of TSM back up, they're not going to be able to make it in time. This is going to be a free Kraken going over to Rogue, and without the weapon power Jewel, they're not going to be able to take this Kraken down as quickly as they did during the last game. So I think Rogue actually has an incredibly strong push ahead of them. Hammy has gone with a tension bow now, and that's going to give him some additional armor breaker, some of that armor pierce to help get through that metal jacket that Flash has complete. The Dragon's Eye is complete for Von C, so he will start to ramp up in these fights. But unfortunately, we just haven't been able to see that single target damage because Churnwalker is splitting it up a bit.
Yeah, he is trying to get in there. We just haven't seen Churnwalker's, like you said, the effectiveness that comes out of having those multiple chains. It really hasn't proven to be a difference maker here. The heal from Lyra has been absolutely phenomenal at keeping Evil and Hammy alive. Sorry, Pon the Original and Hammy alive. We are seeing Flash X just poking those chains in here and there, but Kraken's still pushing and still fairly strong as far as health is concerned. Now Rogue's looking to go push in even further. They're into the Sanctuary, poking away Flash X. He's low, but there is a ultimate from Flash, gets a stun, but it's not going to make a huge difference as Rogue still max full health. They do find the kill on the Hammy, and now they turn their attention onto Lyra and Pon the Original. Pon the Original trying to get out of here, but he's got caught, and he is likely going to go down, but not without a fight as he turns his attention here, trying to build up some of that damage. Kraken gets all but one turret, and they do not get the ace. So Team SoloMid gets 2 kills. Not a bad look for Rogue to nominate. because now you're sitting there, you have one more turret to go through, and it's going to be a while before Team SoloMid can kind of push into your last turret, into your next turret.
Yeah, definitely a comfortable spot for Rogue to be in. The gold has been incredibly even this entire game, and it is, you know, as far as the objectives go, it is a huge favor to Rogue. But even with all those turrets taken, they are still behind in gold at this point. Not by much, but by some. And that is important to make note of here. Hammy is approaching his full build as well. He will likely infuse before he upgrades the boots all the way. And it might be TSM trying to set up a sneaky play here.
They were thinking about it, but Rogue actually just disengaged. They are not interested in wavering through the jungle without some vision. Evil picks up some flares, or had some flares ready to go. So they'll be able to spot out potentially any of Team SoloMid's sneaky surprise attacks here as they keep moving in. They're actually just going to push in through the lane. There's the vision. Team SoloMid is found out. And Rogue's going to actually jump in. There's the Lyra portal. Moves in. They're going after Von C. Von C's very low. But there is the ultimate from Flash X. Gets that kill. And of course, it is going to be a trade 1v1. Evol's going to have to back away. It's Pawn the Original moving on to Best Chuck. But this is where Churdwalker is so good. As being able to pull you away from your hero once he's got a chain on you and redirect you just a little bit. There's still a lot of fortified health on Pawn the Original as he's looking to just kind of stay in here. Here comes another heal from Lyra. But there's another stun from the ultimate from Flash. And Pawn the Original now has to be careful. He keeps getting pushed around. Pawn the Original now just trying to find something here, but he's so low. And Best Chuck at A, look at that, 10, 11 breaking point stacks. There's just nothing that Rhyme can do at that point. That's going to be another kill over to Team SoloMid. And this game is starting to look closer and closer between these two teams to nominate.
Oh, it absolutely is looking absolutely amazing for both of these teams, actually. They're really bringing out everything at this point. Obviously, with Worlds on the line, and neither of these teams having a spot secured, they both need the victory today, so they could potentially get a maximum of 6 more points tomorrow, which would, really jump them up. Obviously, with Cloud9 off the table, they are the team that has been, the most consistently dominant as far as Split 1 went. They were sitting up comfortably at the top. They are out on day 1 this weekend. So Tribe, TSM, and Rogue all have an incredible opportunity to get a massive amount of points this week without having to take down that number 1 team again.
Yeah, and this would be huge. Now, it is going to be a Kraken for Team SoloMid. So now they're going to be pushing up onto Rogue. But the game has gone a lot longer, so these death timers are much more impactful if you start losing some of the and getting kills here in the fight. We'll see how Rogue responds. They have that portal, which has been a fantastic engage, but they haven't been able to take down Von C fast enough. And Flash X able to chain up all of Rogue very quickly and then get one of those stuns from his ultimate, which has been very effective at holding Rogue back just a few seconds. We'll see how it goes. They're going to get that first turret, and now they're moving on to the last lane turret as Team SoloMid and Rogue are all full health, but Kraken right at about half health here at this point. So should be able to get one more turret. We'll see how aggressive Rogue looks to go in here. Those Winter Spires really being used just so much as a poking to kind of get in there. There's only 2 items. Pawn not building any more offense on the Rhyme. Doesn't feel like he needs it. This is going to be the last turret as the Kraken will fall. And now just 1 turret advantage for Rogue. Team SoloMid really evening up this game and taking a gold lead back.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job holding in here long enough for Best Chuck to ramp up on this build. He does now have the Aegis, the Halcyon Chargers, as well as the Metal Jacket complete, so he will be able to sustain a little bit easier now. And as they split some more ambient gold here in the back for Von C and Chuck to get their additional infusion, Chuck to get an infusion and Von C likely to upgrade some boots, maybe get some shielding as well. It's a rough spot for the side of Rogue because TSM has been doing a good job finding these later game fights.
A lot of vision cleared out by Rogue. You can just see Flash X has been planting so much vision here, just trying to make sure they can keep an eye on Rogue with that contraption here. That's something that Flash really loves. Used to be very anti-vision, didn't like spending the money, but with contraption, you get so much out of it. I feel like it's really changed how he approaches vision in these games over the last year, really. It's been an interesting change. Maybe one that a lot of people may not realize. Used to be very few scout traps from Flash over a year ago. Rogue now, though, they're looking to move into Team SoloMid's jungle. They do get vision on the Team SoloMid. There is the awareness, but I don't think they're ready to fight just yet. And it's going to allow Team SoloMid to go down and shop. There's an infusion being picked up. And now we'll see as they move actually to the Lade. Looking to try to maybe split up Team SoloMid here. Get very cautious. Both teams, they know how much is on the line. Kraken spawns. So the next fight, depending on who wins, will likely get a shot at Kraken as well.
Yeah, absolutely going to be a big objective there on the map, unless if one of these teams can find an ace. If they can find an ace, both of them should have the damage off the back of it and the long death timers right now that they could potentially just push in and end the game. Best Chuck, obviously at full build. Von C, not too far behind, has 2,700 gold in his pocket, is going to have to shop as soon as possible. And it is just going to be Rogue up in that top bush. They were looking for an opportunity to maybe get a pick onto Best Chuck. They didn't take one. They were waiting for that arcane passage. It just now came up a second ago. They weren't able to find what they were looking for, but they are now in TSM's jungle. Might be looking to get a little bit better positioning here.
They are looking to reposition. They actually were looking to possibly maybe backdoor. There's just too much vision by Team SoloMid, so unfortunately weren't even able to get a crystal sentry out of that. Although they did kind of quickly look, but really smart decision making by Rogue to understand how much time they have in each decision before they can commit and not commit. And it's actually resulted in not giving up needless kills for the most part. You do see a nice job using the sigil as some vision here. Just to keep an eye on it. A lot of the vision that is on Rogue's side has been cleared out, but there's so much vision on the side of Team SoloMid's jungle, as well as the lane, that Rogue won't be able to get very far without Team SoloMid knowing about it.
Yeah, definitely won't be able to, but Von C finally selling the flask 24 minutes into this game, has now picked up a Eve of Harvest for his 4th offensive item, and will be looking to ramp up in these fights. Obviously, we will, with the Frostburn, still get a slow if he uses that spontaneous combustion, which could help Best Chuck and Flash stay in a good kill range and keep those chains active. And, again, Best Chuck, with these 3 offensive items, is going to take time in the fight to scale up. It's not the brunt force damage that Hammy has with this 4-item offensive critical build coming onto Kestrel. And 25 minutes in this game, both teams being incredibly careful right now. Vision all over the place for both teams. Best Chuck tries to get a couple stacks of breaking point there, but not quite going to be enough for them to follow up through on it.
Yeah, Rogue going to have to go up and just, again, they've done a good job at keeping this lane pushed up. They really don't want it to move into their side of the map. And then, of course, allows them to rotate. They're going to Warhorns in. They're actually looking to go down on the bottom. Again, they're just looking for ways to backdoor, but they can't. There's just too much vision. This is all thanks to Flash X. He's done such a good job. He's been able to spot out every attempt that Rogue has had to try to rush the base.
Yeah, and, again, you mentioned it earlier. This is something that, a year ago we would not have expected from Flash. He was saying vision is not needed. You just get your fountain early and then keep a demanding lead. Now, with, again, the usefulness of this contraption, giving some additional cooldown speed, giving the health, we obviously, with the health buffs onto all items that give health, that is something to make note of too. So just provides him some additional tankiness on that front line, lets him put down vision for essentially free. I mean, you have to put down a lot of vision to cover the complete cost of the contraption, but every scout trap you put down just makes your contraption a little bit more worth it.
Yeah, and you see he's actually buying scout traps to also allow him to lay down map vision even faster. And you could see it's just unbelievably wrecking Rogue's attempt to try to be sneaky. There's nothing they can really do, and he's definitely bought that contraption 3 times over with the amount of use he's gotten out of it.
Yeah, definitely been a valuable item, as now TSM is looking to find any fight they can, but it's just disengage after disengage out of Rogue, and then when Rogue finds a fight that they want, it is TSM just disengaging as well. And now it is going to be Rogue is committing to this backdoor attempt. Here they go. TSM is back. This is going to be fun, Dragonborn.
Oh, but they might have caught... Although Pawn the Original couldn't get through the portal for whatever reason, and unfortunately had to run away, almost getting caught out. They're going to clear a lot of vision here, but that was very risky for Rogue. Team SoloMid spotted that out and said, nope, not happening. Now they're actually looking to try to wedge right in between the jungle of Rogue to try to find something here. It's going to expose this Kraken, and they're actually probably going to think about starting it. We're at 27 minutes. It's just been about 10 minutes of back and forth disengage. So not a lot of actions. We've been sitting at 9 kills apiece for both teams for quite some time.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. We've been sitting at 9 kills for the longest. Gold is still essentially dead even. All of these builds getting very close. Pawn the Original with 2 sets of boots is going to be looking to help the team engage as well as keep his own engage potential up. And, again, all items that give you health do have a bit of a buff here. So those War Treads will give that additional health over to Rhyme as well. Allow him to be even that much more sustainable in these fights, as Von C now is going to have to reinfuse with this 500 gold he has in his pocket. There it is. And at best Chuck, half of an infusion left, might be thinking about reinfusing here very shortly too.
Yeah, he's going to be pushed out from the lane. This is something Rogue has not done, is be able to secure the jungle shop, forcing recalls from Team SoloMid. That vision has allowed Team SoloMid to continually move into the jungle shop for positioning as far as getting some vision, picking up infusions. You see Flash X are able to keep shopping and get scout traps. So many scout traps, and they've been, really a lot of them have been pushed away. You're going to see a small engagement. Team SoloMid just eyeing it, but they're not going to fully commit. And now they're backing away as well. And Rogue finds something. There's just neither team wants to team fight at this point. They're so afraid of what one kill will do. And as we get later and later, one kill will become even more impactful. Those death timers are going to get very long.
Yeah, absolutely. The next team to win a fight essentially should win the game at this point, Dragonborn. Here comes Rogue. The War Treads are popped, and TSM is on the chase as well.
They are evolved from the backside. He gets pulled in. He's dropping very low, but there's a Valkyrie. It does catch. There's some slow, but it's going to be actually Evol dropping. And now, Team SoloMid, they may have found their fight. This was just so risky by Rogue to try to find this kill. They find Hammy, and now Pawn the Original, he's running for his life, but he is likely going to fall. And now Team SoloMid may have gotten themselves game number 2.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like a TSM game here. There's nothing that Rogue is going to be able to do in time to stop this. TSM, going to clear out these minions as they know they'll probably need the Ace Wave coming up with them to clear this one out. 25 seconds on Evol, 30 seconds on Hammy, 40 seconds on Pawn the Original. This, by all means, should be a TSM game, and it is looking to be so. They're splitting the damage on the turrets just to make sure that doesn't tick Hammy out enough in time. And that is going to be TSM taking game number 2, and that's going to push us into game number 3, Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, this matchup, I've really got to say, Denabade, we talked about how important it was. We talked about how close these two teams were. I'm not surprised at all that it went to 3 games. I really felt like it could, and you can see it right here, just how close they fought. They both knew the capability. There was just so much respect on what each team could do that it went 30 games, but really there was about 10 minutes of just very little action as teams really tried not to give away the game to the other team with a bad team fight. And honestly, Rogue, probably just getting tired, really felt like they could try to get in there fast enough, but the vision from Flash X, too much, just too much to deal with. And they had so much information so quickly, they were able to sniff it out and stop it right in its tracks. So that means we're going to game number 3, Denamine, and we're going to take a quick break. So when we come back, game number 3 draft will be starting.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download banned. Communication made easy.
Welcome back, everybody, as we look forward to getting into game number 3. You guys are watching the Vainglory8 powered by VIS as we bring you guys the off-stream match, and it is Team SoloMid going up against Rogue. It is 1-1 as we move to the final game number 3, and we, of course, I'm really excited to get into it to see who's going to come out on top. I think Denominate, we're ready to go. So
yeah, we definitely going to be looking to get into game number 3 here. Obviously, Team SoloMid did pull out the Churn Walker last game and pulled themselves a victory. So on the main stream, it was Cloud9 that pulled that out, unable to secure a win. So that is going to put Churn Walker at a 50% win rate here for the VG8. And long game number 2, but both of these teams looking like they could potentially take game number 3.
Yeah, it could go either way between these two teams, both Rogue and I think we're gonna have to start. Here we go.
The draft begins.
There we go. We're started. We're ready to go. Could go either way between these two teams. Alright, we actually still are waiting a little bit longer for the draft to start. Sorry about that, everybody. But we should be getting ready to go here in just a second. As, shouldn't be that much longer. So, let's talk a little bit real quickly. I mean, Churn Walker's first win, although, I gotta be honest, it took a long time in that game before Team SoloMid was really at a point that they could really dish out the damage. And that really was just getting Vox, getting Best Chuck and A to that point where every single hit he landed, when you had Turnwalkers, all those chains delivered, just was wrecking through the side of Rogue, really. Just nothing they could do. And even with the Rhyme, and this is pretty incredible, it's very rare to see Pon the Original lose when he's on that Rhyme. So this could be something really interesting. The thing is, you have to ask the Dominate is, it took him 30 minutes to make it happen. Churnwalker still doesn't feel like he has that massive impact in that mid game when really some of the biggest decisions in the game are made.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel that way. I do see the viability in it if played correctly. I think it is probably pretty difficult to accomplish. Obviously, Rogue and TSM, fairly evenly matched teams, have been doing absolutely great into each other. The Kroll coming off the table very quickly out of the side of Team SoloMid here. Definitely going to be looking to take some of Pon's hero comfort pool away. And now it is going to be a decision for Rogue. Do we ban away the Rhyme at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we get back into this, we have seen Rhyme come out, but this time Team SoloMid figured out how to play against the Rhyme. So at this point, I'd be surprised if they even ban it. Oh, they're going to pick it, though. So that does mean that now Rogue's not going to have the opportunity. They're going to pick the Catherine, which we saw picked into Rhyme last on game number 1 when Team SoloMid picked Catherine first. And we'll see how effective that is. Catherine, typically paired up with another crowd control ability like a Core Collapse, is very effective into Rhyme. But it's not a hero, like Celeste, not one that we've seen Hammy play a whole lot of. He really loves some of those more unique, off-meta laners, like a Jewel or something like that along those lines, where he's able to just kind of deal a lot of damage. So we'll see as we get into this. Rogue actually taking their time on this next ban.
Yeah, there's a lot of things on the table to consider. Obviously, I don't think the Churn Walker... Oh, well, we're going to ban away the Churn Walker. I didn't think the Churn Walker was really the
reason? Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, it was late game. Very, very late game. A real pain. A lot of it was just the fact that Flash could pull you back into a fight or pull you away from his carry. But other than that, you're right. The stuns, even with all of the stuns that he landed with his ultimate, it still did not seem like Churnwalker was making an enormous difference.
Definitely didn't appear so. We see a salty flash here in chat, though. So definitely looked like he wanted to play that Churnwalker. Baptiste coming through now for the side of Rogue, and we know what a devastating combination that Baptiste Catherine can be. There's so much crowd control that you have to block. And unfortunately, we're in a position at this point. We've already committed to the Rhyme. That's going to make it very difficult for Chuck to pick up one of those heroes that is incredibly good into that Baptiste. You know, for example, the Scarf or the Celeste, who just can outrange him naturally. So unless if Bonsi ends up goes, well, I guess the pedal can do essentially the same thing. That'll likely be a weapon lane pedal going on to best Chuck at this point.
Yeah, this is actually, I think, really good into Baptiste because it allows you to poke from a very far range. There's a lot of damage, actually, that Best Chuck can deal out without getting right on top of Baptiste. So that's something like, you know, a Jewel would have been really bad or really dangerous, in fact. The thing, though, is with the Catherine and Baptiste together, this is a very scary combination. It doesn't necessarily always win all the time. I think Gangster's actually just lost with it, but it really still locks you up, makes it really hard for you to move around. Team SoloMid now, of course, going to go with this Ardid, who we've seen played a lot here across both regions, just because of how tanky Ardid is, as well as with the Echo, still one of the most incredible abilities with that double gauntlet. As far as separating a team and splitting them up, the crowd control that it offers, it's really unique to none.
Yeah, absolutely. And this puts a interesting spot here on the side of Rogue. We're likely going to go a weapon carry at this point. So which one is it going to be? We've seen Hammy on the Vox. We've seen him historically on the Baron and the Idris. But Baron and Idris, maybe not the best weapon heroes in the current meta. It is going to be that Vox, which is just a safe, reliable pickup.
And it's actually pretty good at the pedal. It's going to likely be a weapon Vox, so not nearly as effective. But the Resonance, they do bounce off of those Munions, so they will allow Vox to be able to dish out some Resonance bounce damage. With weapon Vox, that's not as major of a factor, but it is still, you know, useful to know, especially early on, too. If you're going into the lane, the Resonance from Vox early can really be kind of creep up on you and surprise you. So we'll see how well that works. But, I mean, definitely I could see it. Now, of course, as soon as if they did go double CP, which I do not expect them to, that Resonance is very, very good when it's a crystal damage into Petal's abilities, because those Munions, you know, deliver. Basically, they're like the portal to all of that crystal damage to both Petal and the allies surrounding those Munions. So it can be very risky and very dangerous if they do go double CP.
Yeah, definitely could be. We'll have to see what they lock in here. It is going to be Best Chuck on the pedal, Von C on the Rhyme, and that's going to put Pon the Original over on the Baptiste. Not something we really see too much out of him, but definitely well within his hero comfort pool.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've seen him play the weapon pedal. I mean, really, he can play anything, and it's been really exciting to see him just kind of move into doing these weapon laners as well as his comfort crystal mages. But we're into game number 3, guys, so let's jump right into it as we get into the fold as Team SoloMid. This is their chance. They're 2 points behind Rogue. And if they can beat Rogue, they can finally start to move into that second place position, which they so desperately want to be able to secure in time for Worlds.
Absolutely, and an aggressive start here for the side of TSM, taking away that Elder Treant. That's what we've seen Rogue do in the past couple of games, taking that early advantage. And now it is going to be actually Flash and Best Chuck rotating into the lane instead of splitting that ambience, as the Minion Candied Wave is going to push up underneath this turret incredibly quickly here. Good use of the Minion Candy out of Rogue, forcing that rotation up from TSM.
They do, and they do push the lane up fairly far, but it's still going to be away from the turret here for Best Chuck. Best Chuck takes a lot of that resonance damage that we talked about. And Hammy, by building the Swift Shooter, he's still kind of leaving it somewhat of a mystery. We probably won't know for a good, few items before if Hammy will indeed go CP, and we'll get that double CP composition that could come out. It's really going to be I think really for this game, the difference makers are going to be Evil and Flash X, because the impact they make with both their ultimates, as they'll both likely be going Echo, can change the game so quickly once team fights break out. Von C now this time on Pon, the original signature rhyme. We'll see if Pon can outplay the rhyme here. Nice stun. Keeps Von C tracked down. Von C's actually not going to be able to get this Treant here, and he drops very low. Does he get it? No, he doesn't. Pon secures it, and now Von C's got to be careful.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And Flash using the Vanguard over the wall is going to make it out to safety, but Von C, will you be able to find a kill here? Evol's so low.
He's so low, and Von C still has a good chunk of fortified health. Actually, Best Chuck at A as well pops that flask to try to kind of build up some of that health again. So very risky. It's actually going to be Team SoloMid, though. They're just going to be leaving this jungle. Although it might be Flash X. He's got to be careful as double stun on the Flash, but Evil almost fell. That would have been first blood going over to Flash X. Oh, but it's going to be Best Chuck finding Evil here in the back line. There's a flash pop by Evil to try to stay alive, but it's going to be actually Best Chuck going down first, and that's going to be Baptiste with the first blood.
I think the first blood went over to Vox, but either way, it is 2 kills.
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah, sorry, it was Hammy getting that first blood, and actually 2 kills quickly going over. Team SoloMid, of course, going to follow up. I did misspeak there. Sorry about that.
They end up trading out 2 for 2, so not too bad for either team. Still a small gold lead for the side of Team SoloMid as they have secured the Elder Treant so far, and they are looking to get another one at this point as well.
Yeah, they are focusing. I mean, they've done a good job at getting the jungle farm, so that's where you see that gold lead, about 500, 600 or so gold in the lead as they finish up this rotation. They do able to find that. Of course, Rogue does try to push into the lane. They move this lane up to the turret of Team SoloMid, but they're not going to find it. There's a root. Hammy, he's dropping low. He's going to go down as Rhyme secures the kill. Best Chuck at A, Von C, and Flash did a great job moving right into position to find Hammy in the lane. And Hammy really couldn't even get out of there, not even with his Sonic Zoob. And so there's not much that Evil could do at that point. Fountain still not being built here. We're only at the 4-minute mark, so both teams are working towards it, but not yet complete. Now it's actually Flash X who might have been a little bit in trouble, but he's going to be okay. Ordain comes down. Oh, but there's also Bad Mojo to follow up. Flash X has to boots away, and he does get out of harm, but not without taking a sizable chunk of damage.
Yeah, he almost dropped there. It was incredibly close for Rogue, but so far it is a slight advantage for TSM. They do have that additional kill, as well as they have those Treants from the jungle secured as well. So about 1,000 gold lead in their favor, and it is Hammy doing a good job keeping this wave pushed up as frequently as possible, forcing Best Chuck to stay in the lane so he doesn't miss out on anything.
Valkyrie might have missed there. Von C now has to get out as he took a lot of damage and actually put the Valkyrie. I think he thought maybe Hammy was coming down sooner than he was, but all 3 members of Team SoloMid have shown up, and that was actually Hammy dropping very low. Can they dodge it out? Hammy actually did a good job. Rotate down to the backside of the jungle to just get away from Best Chuck at A and Von C. Von C, he's still low, but Rhyme able to heal right back up, and now there's a nice root. Hammy drops. Best Chuck at A's low, but Pon the original goes down first, and Evol's the last man standing. Team SoloMid balancing the damage in that fight so well, secure another 2 kills.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and TSM looking to be in a great spot. Again, TSM, when they are playing from behind, really stepped their game up pretty drastically. And, again, this team is looking for a world spot. They do not want to go down without a fight. I think they are probably the crowd favorite to win that world spot this time around. As the last couple seasons, they have finished at that number 1 spot by a pretty sizable margin, with the exception of split 2 of summer. They did underperform a little bit. I think they thought they were pretty sizably ahead, maybe didn't fully commit, but they end up still securing that number 1 spot. And, again, looking for their championship win this year. Could it be Worlds?
Well, that's definitely what both teams are eyeing for. Rogue actually not attending a live championship, and that's something that both these teams are really just looking to be able to make that finally make that push. Rogue's kind of been that team that has had a lot of success, but under the new format where only 6 teams go to the live venue from each region, it's been a little bit harder for them.
Yeah, but the competition has got so close in North America between, probably the top 4 teams, I would say, are all pretty consistently capable of taking games off of each other, with TSM and Cloud9 probably being the top 2, but Tribe obviously inching their way in here as well, looking pretty good. Flash is level 6, has the Gauntlet online. They could be looking for Hamby to try to set something up on the original level 7. Evol level 6, that does mean both of those large crowd control abilities are lined up.
Well, we do have a skirmish going on, 1v1, Pawn the Original versus Von C, and Von C's winning the trade. We did see a nice fearsome shade, but it's not going to be enough for Pawn to stay alive, and he's going to be dropped. Petal, meanwhile, in the lane, has this lane pushed up pretty far into Rogue, so with this rotation, Team SoloMid could be looking to take an objective.
Yeah, they definitely could be looking for it. They have the cards in their pocket to do so. 6-2 now for Team SoloMid. They're not done. They're finding damage on the Hammy. With Von C having had to rotate down, low on energy, has started up this gold miner. But Evol senses it going on, is coming down here. Will he be able to get the steal of a lifetime? Wait for it. And the blast tremor both burned, and neither one of them find the gold. So those will be some sizable cooldowns now for the side of Rogue that they are going to have to consider before they pick another fight.
Yeah, I mean, they did as much as they could to try to steal that away. It was so much gold that it was definitely worth the trade, but unfortunately, losing those items down for the next minute or so are going to be an opening for Team SoloMid if they choose to fight sooner than later. Lane is pushed up into Team SoloMid's turret at the moment, as Rogue is playing it cautious, looking for an opportunity to maybe find one of the members of Team SoloMid out. Von C and company, actually Team SoloMid have completely rotated down here to the shop part of the jungle as they move back up. Von C, yeah, I'm not sure if this is a good idea. He's actually going to think about, he's actually going to move potentially into Rogue's jungle. He's definitely waiting here. He's going to find at least a few of those members as we move up into the lane. He definitely wants to come up through the mustache bush, and is being denied by Rogue so far. Nice damage by Best Chuck and A already. Sorrowblade with this tornado trigger is packing a punch, but they're moving on to the turret. And look how fast it falls to nominate Team SoloMid. Take a quick objective here after taking the gold mine, as get so much damage on their side at the moment with that Sorrowblade and tornado trigger Petal, as well as Rhyme has 2 items, packing a punch.
Yeah, he absolutely is providing so much for the team. One of the most useful things about pairing this Rhyme up with the Petal is Rhyme's slowing potential as well as rooting potential does allow Best Chuck to be just a little bit safer. And then obviously those massive vanguards that come out of Flash X will be able to help keep Best Chuck alive. We'll be able to get those huge basic attacks out of this weapon Petal. Obviously the trampoline increasing Petal's weapon power by a percentage is really what makes this build come to life.
Best Chuck shows up. Oh, wow, look at that damage when it crits. And Hammy's taken a few crit shots already. So he's got to be careful. Best Chuck and A looks to move on here, trying to fight some damage onto Hammy. There's a silence, though. Here comes a Merciless Pursuit stun. Von C, Vanguard keeps him alive as the Fountain comes out in the nick of time. And it's actually Hammy so close to falling. It's a 1v1 trade so far. Pod the Original still alive, but Flash X and Von C have enough health looking to get this kill here onto Pawn. Ordain is out, but they're both inside of it. They don't need to worry. And now just Evol, last man standing for Rogue. This is another victory for Team SoloMid in this game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I don't think Von C is healthy enough to really try to push onto the gold mine, but Evol looking to get a steal here, not going to get it. And now it is going to be another kill going over to the side of Team SoloMid. It was not in time for the ace. Hammy'd been up for a matter of seconds. Oh, man, Hammy, you're in a bad spot now!
Oh, and unable to dodge. He reflex blocks the root, but he's not able to get away from those Winter Spires. And now another gold mine going over to Team SoloMid, as well as picking off Rogue one at a time. That's not what you want to see happen in Rogue's side. Really struggling to survive and getting caught out and isolated as well against a Rhyme and a Petal. Is not looking good. And look at this, Von C taking a completely different approach than what Pawn the Original does on his Rhyme, going 3 offensive items. So although he's a little squishy, he is, once he gets on top of you and deals that damage, is just going to absolutely decimate the enemies, and he's been able to do that several times already. Going with that Dragon's Eye as well as the Broken Myth, it deals a lot of damage as it scales with those stacks.
Absolutely, Dragonborn. And this, you got to remember, the more damage that the Rhyme does, the more fortified health he will build up. So that fortified health is what Von C is relying on here. He's relying...
Oh! Did you see? Stunned out, Flash X not able to get the gauntlet down. This is actually something we saw Flash do several times against Evil. And now Evil repaying the favor.
Yeah, definitely looking like it. A 10-3 lead right now for the side of Team SoloMid. They're looking really good. But as Vox comes online with that third offensive item, that could quickly change, as well as Baptiste working into the clockwork. But looking bad for Von C right here.
Yeah, he's very low, but his team comes down. Might have bailed him out. Nope, he's going to drop Silence. Perfectly timed to keep his team alive. The Crucible was actually still in the inventory for Flash X, but he was silenced, so he couldn't use it. And that means that now Rogue actually going to be able to take out a turret here and get their first major objective of the game.
Yeah, definitely looking to do so, and that's a beautiful opportunity now for Rogue. They are still at a disadvantage as far as gold goes, but to get that first objective down is got to be a huge buff to their morale, as well as they're turning their attention onto the gold miner. Actually, they are going to pull off of it as they know that TSM is all up and available. So overall, Rogue with a great response to the aggression that TSM has had.
Oh, Team SoloMid, they want this gold miner. Soon as they see Rogue back off just a little bit, they go for it, and they're very close to securing it. Heavy's going to use his weight for it. Does not secure it. Petal gets the gold mine take. And that's unfortunate. Rogue actually sitting at a sizable 5,000 gold deficit, as Team SoloMid's done a really good job at securing the gold mine objectives.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And, Rogue all grouping up here in the lane. The Blast Tremor is getting ready to come back online. The Fearsome Shade is ready to go. But we do have 25 seconds left on that. Wait for it. It's going to be interesting to see. Rogue actually going to go ahead and recall here. Try to buy some time, get some additional items built up for him here. It is going to be some extra flares coming out on Evol. On the original, now with the Clockwork online, has a reflex block of his own, and Hammy, with that breaking point complete now, this is where Vox is going to start to be at his highest capability as far as his offensive damage goes.
And this is really what we saw happen in game number 2, was when Vox got those tier 3 items, he was able to really do a lot of damage. But we've got a fight breaking out. There's a double gauntlet, does a great job, blocks up the side of Rogue, and they're taking so much damage, they aren't able to get around it, and that's going to be 2 kills already. Team SoloMid going for the final onto Evil, they find it, and they're going to get a Crystal Sentry to boot. And Flash X, fantastic with that echo on those gauntlets, able to get both gauntlets down without getting stunned up. And now a Kraken as well, and Best Chuck A, he's going up to take the turret, and just like that, Team SoloMid has just opened this game up and given them a massive lead as they go into Rogue.
Yeah, they're looking great, and Best Chuck has the gold in pocket where he can complete that other monocle that he's so looking for. Or maybe the third Tornado Trigger, if that's the route he goes. We did see Old School pull that out earlier on Cloud9. Didn't quite work out the way they were hoping. It is going to be the monocle for Best Chuck. So looking for that additional burst of damage. Going to be absolutely huge for them. Take the Kraken on their side, which means it is going to have to walk all the way around. But that gives both sides time to regroup and plan what they have ahead of them.
Yeah, both teams trying to get into position. As we'll see, Rogue doesn't want to give up a kill, but at the same time, they have to engage Team SoloMid here. The Kraken pushing. They can't just suffice for trying to take down the Kraken. Crystal Sentry does come up here, and Rogue actually has Evol basically camped out behind Team SoloMid. Might be a sneaky silence. He is going to land it. It's just Flash X silence, but Team SoloMid, they take out Hammy and Paw the original so fast, and there's nothing that Evol can do. He unfortunately just has to run away. And that is going to be Team SoloMid with game number 3 in this best of 3 series. A huge series for Team SoloMid as they look to secure their spot in Worlds.
Yeah, definitely looking good for them, and the number 1 team ahead of them, Cloud9, did drop earlier today against Tribe Gaming. So moving into the rest of the weekend, it is going to be a battle between TSM and Tribe are going to be the closest two, looking for those points to get into that number 1 spot. Obviously, 6 additional points up for any of the teams that won today going into the rest of the weekend. That's got to be feeling good for Team SoloMid here.
This is a huge victory for them. They are well aware at how strong Rogue has and can be, and Rogue, of course, was sitting above them by a few points. It is now Team SoloMid's chance to be able to take the second place seed here in the standings away from Rogue. With that, though, everybody, that does conclude our series here. You're watching the off-stream match and running very long. I mean, these were 3 very long games up until that very last game in Game 3. Where Team SoloMid has taken it. Make sure you guys tune in next week as Vainglory8, brought to you by VIS, brings you the off-stream matches every single weekend that there is Vainglory8. And make sure you guys also, after this stream ends, head back over to the main Vainglory8 channel and watch all the actions, as I believe there's still one more series to come on the main channel, and you're not going to miss that. Until next week, though, everybody, good night, and see you then. Go.